Hi and welcome to the Ardo Designs channel. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial to make a book similar to this one. There's a walkthrough of this album, which I will link below. This one that I'm doing a tutorial for is slightly different. This was a second prototype, so a few things have changed that I kind of figured out whilst making this one. An awful lot of work goes into planning the products that I design to make sure that they do work properly. The tutorials that I show you of two different versions will give you an idea of the processes that happen and how things change. So there are lots of mini scrapbook album tutorials available, so do a search and find them. There's some really good ones. I've been watching through them and learning lots of things. This one will be slightly different, obviously, because of my shop and the designs I do. They are printed designs. I also really wanted to use my Knitwick Mastics because I absolutely love Knitwick's collections. Go check them out. They have loads of wonderful different designs. They have lots of little craft bits as well. They're not just kind of individual elements and backing papers, but they are beautiful, as you can see. So this is slightly different. You will get, I'll write it down, in total there's 75 pages in this download. You won't need to print out all of them. There are some where there are two different versions and you can choose which ones you want. But in total you will print out 59 pages. 14 of those will have, well, there are 14 backing pages, which will go on 34 of the pages, and 20 of the pages are done on paper. The paper that I used, normally I just use an 80 GSM paper for a lot of things I do paper with. But for this one I used a 120 GSM paper, just so it's a little bit thicker, and it kind of just adds to the strength of the book by just being that little bit thicker, and it's easier to work with. The card I've used is 250 GSM. I will Google again what that is in pounds for America. I did look it up and I can't remember. So this is 250 GSM. It goes through most printers fairly easily, and it's quite robust, and will have several layers in order to build up the strength. The other kind of scrapbook albums tend to use chipboard, and then you cover the chipboard and then you add your papers onto that. So this is a different way of doing it. One of the other things that I like with the digital printing crafts that I do is that you don't need lots and lots of craft materials. I do have lots of craft materials, but you don't need them. To do this, you will need a printer and a computer, obviously, and your card and paper. Something to score the paper, the card on. I like to use an old placemat with a metal ruler and my embossing tool. That's how I prefer to do it. You can also, clear this paper, use a scoreboard, and then this one's probably a bit thick. You would just score your lines, line them up. This has been done mostly in inches, so you should be able to so this is a 2.5 album, score the 2.5 line for that one. Whichever you have. Obviously scoreboards cost a little bit more money, but if you've got some old cork back placemats that you don't use, or a family member or friend has, I think this was my mum's, that's a really cheap way of starting your crafting journey. It also is really good for protecting surfaces. You can glue onto this side, so I find this really, really useful. The other things you will need, possibly tape. I do use tape in this, so some double-sided tape is good. You'll need a good glue. This is Cosmic Shimmer. It's the one that I just happen to have. You can also use a tacky glue. I find this one is just a little bit too wet and it makes the printed paper pages smudge a little bit, particularly if they are darker pages. This design's probably not too bad because it's all quite pastel colours. And you do sometimes get a little bit of ruffling with that one. But it can be used for some things, just so you're not using the expensive things like Cosmic Shimmer or other ones. There are other ones available, I'm not sure. I have the Cosmic Shimmer, it works really well. So it's a good one to get. What else will you need? Obviously something for scoring with. Flip stick is also really handy, particularly for adding the paper onto the backs of tags and pages and things. It just doesn't mean things that the paper doesn't ruffle up as much. I don't know if that's the right word, ruffle. Also, some ribbon. You'll need ribbon for the closure. You just tie it into a bow to hold the book closed. You don't have to put a closure on. The demo version I did, I forgot to put it on, but it still fits quite nicely without the ribbon. So it's not the end of the world if you don't do that. I'll bring this back. The other thing that is useful to have are magnets. They make a lot of these closures really work well, but you can also do these closures with ribbon. I'll quickly show you this one. I only had really small magnets when I was first making this one and they weren't strong enough, so I ended up just using ribbon. So with this one I didn't use the little extra tab going up, I took that off and just tied a little bit of ribbon around to hold this waterfall shut. And let's see, magnets I use quite a bit in this one. Magnets are also used on this page, but again you could put the ribbon underneath and tie that over. The only slight thing with that is that I do a nice little design on the top page, so you wouldn't see that as easily whilst the ribbon was over it, but it's not that much of a problem if you don't want to use the magnets. Again, this is another one that has a magnet, but a ribbon would work just as well. This one does have magnets just to hold it, although I'm going to change it and put the magnets at the top here to stop it kind of falling forwards. But again, it actually works without magnets in it at all. It will stay in place. And you can also put a tie around that with a ribbon if you wanted to. Obviously ribbon's easy to get hold of. This one I think works best with the ribbon, so that one is fine. And this back one also has a magnet. But again, you could put the, look how this one works. Yeah, you can put the ribbon before you put these on and tie it round. So there are ways of doing it without magnets, but I do recommend trying to get them. I got the ones that I will be using. I've got a couple of different sizes here on Amazon. These were the really small ones that are not very strong, but they are useful for some bits occasionally if you don't need a lot of strength, and they're all going to stick together now. Okay, so these ones are 8mm in diameter and 1mm thickness. Again, for a lot of them they are strong enough, they're fine, but I've also got the 10mm 1cm one, which are a lot stronger, as you can see. Lots of fun with magnets. These ones are nice because they came in a lovely little box. Okay, so I think that's all the stuff you'll need, but you can add on any extra bits if you want to. But we will get started straight away. So, to begin with, we have a front cover and our back cover. Okay, I've already scored everything, but I will show you. Score down this line here and down this line here. Nice and simple. All straight cuts on all but the tags, so it's quite easy to do. You don't have to do lots of fiddly cutting. Okay. One thing I do recommend, because I just made this mistake, is to do a dry fitting before you glue anything down, just to make sure it fits and you can trim off any excess. Okay, so we'll start by folding this over, pressing it down. If you don't have a bone folder, that works just as well, where you can just really go hard with your fingernails. And same with this one. Okay. Right. Okay, so dry fitting, because you want to make sure that it will close up. I had done it and it was just a little bit too big, so I couldn't quite close it. So make sure this closes up. I have actually altered the template just now so that it is slightly smaller anyway, so you shouldn't have to do too much adjusting. So we will start by gluing these together. This page here just has the white panel just to save you on a little bit of ink. We will put the glue on here. This glue is really good. It gives you a really good strong seal, dries quite quickly, and you don't get that kind of bumpy, rough thing you often get with sort of PVA glues. The tacky glue is a bit like PVA glue, but just a little bit thicker. But the Cosmic Shimmer and other crafting glues are a bit thicker, are probably best. I'm going to leave just a tiny gap there just to make sure I've got plenty of space for my spine. Okay, press it down really hard, get any excess glue out. There we go. Okay, so that is your basic cover. We're obviously going to build up the strength because it's not very strong at the moment. So initially we will put in this cover piece here. This will have another piece on top of it as well, but this just gives us a start, so make sure you can fold it up properly. There we go. Do the glue again. I might just quickly show you these tacky glue. It is a little bit cheaper than using the other glues. And if you want to just save a little bit of money, you can have the expensive glue for the edges and then just use that one like that. Don't put too much on, you don't need a lot. It will stick down just fine. Make sure we've got the front cover and the right way. So this piece isn't quite 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. It's 6.5 inches tall, and it's just a few tenths of a millimetre, or tenth of an inch shorter on one side to give you the extra fold. Oh, and I have done it again. Before you put that bit down, we need to put it on the ribbon, which I forgot with the baby album. I nearly forgot again. Okay, so piece of ribbon. What have I measured this to? This is probably about 14 inches. Okay. One thing I have definitely learnt with my crafting journey over the years is that you learn an awful lot from mistakes. Okay, I'm going to put this and about here. And do the same. I am kind of roughly measuring it. I have seen a lot of the other ladies that do the tutorials have a ruler, has a centre point, and the measurements go in away either side, which looks really handy. I'm going to have to look at getting one of those. This little metal ruler I've been using for years. It actually came from a tool set. I thought it was really handy for doing scoring and also using my cutting knife on it. Okay, let's see if we can get these off. There we go. Right, okay, this ribbon has got a shiny and a not so shiny side, so make sure you get it round the right way. There we go. And just for extra strength, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape just to help hold it down and stop that from being pulled out at any point. I'll do the other side just now because then I won't forget to do it later. There we go, again check the right side. Okay. That's probably an easy way of testing that. There we go. Okay, so that's the ribbon in place, and we can go back to the glue again, which hopefully hasn't dried up. There we go. So I'm going to just put that on the outside because that will give us our really strong seal for that bit, and just help keep the cost down a little bit. Use the slightly cheaper tacky glue. It's quite hard doing my tutorial for this in my the photo studio, or recording studio that I made, which is just a big box with a hole cut in the top, and I wallpapered the inside of it. It worked really well for card tutorial because they tend to be quite small. So this one will require a little bit of moving about just because sometimes it gets a bit big. Anyway, so that is our first bit there. Okay, this is our spine piece. It has little guidelines. I'm not doing very good at speaking at the moment. I'm not usually talking in tutorials, so it's very strange to be talking when nobody else is in the house at all. It does feel very weird. Anyway, these have got little guidelines. You don't need to score them. It's just to show you where to put the pages in later on. When I did the first one, I had difficulty trying to get it to line up properly and knowing where I was going to put them. So I found this just made it easy. Okay, we're going to do another dry fit to make sure that when we put it in, both sides fold up, that's fine. Just checked, depending on the thickness that you use, that might have an effect on how much space you're going on. I didn't print backings on here. You can do. With like a little white gap there, but you probably won't see it once all the pages and everything is in, and obviously it just saves you a little bit of ink to not have the backing printed on everything, especially as you would only see a really small amount of that. I'm going to just use this glue on here because we want the spine to be nice and strong. it will be taking the most strain. Okay, put that in there. Make sure it all closes before we press it down. There we go. Okay, so that's the start of our cover done anyway. Right, we will get started on the inside cover page first, and then we'll start doing the pages, go through and then finish with the back page. So I'm going to put this out of the way just now whilst I show you all the other pieces. Okay, I have put all the pieces together here. One thing that you can do when you're printing them off, particularly on the paper pieces, on the sheets I've written underneath most of them what they are. There are some extra photo mats and booklets that you can put where you want, but most of the time I've written that this is the booklet for the front cover and these are the inside cover pages for that booklet. Before you cut everything out, you could just go with pencil, just quickly scribble on the back where it's to go in the book, and that just helps you having to try to figure out where they will go afterwards. Just a little tip. Okay. So these are all our little tabs. I'll get rid of the booklets for now. Okay, so this is the main part of the page. And we'll show you on here so we can see how it goes together. Okay, so this bit sticks onto your inside cover, and this bit will fold up to make this little pocket, and then work out, yeah, the other bit goes on the second. Okay, so we will do that bit first. Okay, again, I've scored all the pieces that you will need to score along this tab and along this bottom bit for your pocket, and then you will fold them over. Like so, and then this one folds up this way, like that. Okay, just check that that one goes in there. Let's just trim a little tiny bit off the edge. I had altered most of these little pocket pieces so that they fit. I will go and check that before I went to. Okay, so that folds up nicely there. Right, we don't need to stick anything onto this piece, so just a single line of glue down each edge and fold it up carefully and squash it out. Pressing it down just means it seals it nice and solid. Okay. Right, so this is the little extra fold out piece. So again, screw along these lines, 2 little tabs on this one, and this folds up for a pocket. Let's just fold in. And that will fold up and create a little pocket there. And I'm just going to check which way this one needs to go. So this tab needs to fold over that way. And just try and smooth it down so you get a nice straight edge. Okay. So for this bit, we have a little extra cover piece which we'll need to put in before we fold the pocket up, so it can go underneath. And that will go up there, and that will go up there. And then we've got a nice little pattern on both sides. Okay, for this one I'm going to use the pit stick glue. I find it works better. Trim that bit off the bottom. There we go. Just try and make sure you get to all your edges and corners. And then place it down nice and straight. There we go. And again, we'll use that glue on there. The advantage of using the slightly thicker glues is it doesn't take too long to set and dry and hold things in place, so you don't have to spend ages holding things down. Okay, this is a little cover for the pocket here. So again, we can just add some of the Prit Stick onto the back of that one. You can also do this with the white glues. I just think the Prit Stick glue works better. It's a little bit less messy, but whatever you prefer. Okay, we've got those bits there. Okay, so this bit now goes that way and folds back on itself. In fact, I've done the other one, I've done the pocket that way. I think I quite like it that way. I'm going to do the pocket on that outside. You could do it on the other one. On the baby one I have actually done it the other way, but I think that looks quite nice like that. And I prefer that paper, that pattern. So, use our strong glue again. Put this up against the edge and then fold it over, make sure you get it nice and straight. You do get a little bit of time to move it with this glue. There we go. Trying to do it without getting my head in the shot. There we go. the tab. Okay, now to cover this tab, what I have done is provide all these little extra page tabs. These ones are slightly longer, just to give you the room to work out where you want it to go. So that just covers over that tab, and just to even it out, there's another one for the other side. And then this leaves a nice space for a nice big photograph there. So I'm going to glue this on first, and then I'm going to trim it once it's actually on, because that will be easier, I think. But if you wanted to, you can trim it off. There we go. And we'll do the same to the other side. And tap this over here. There we go. So if you want to trim that off with a paper trimmer or something beforehand, this is 6.5 inches. That's how big they will need to be. They're just slightly over that. So that's our first piece. We can now add it to the cover, if I can find where I put it. Here we go. Okay, so you have a paper piece that mimics this little pink bit here. I did experiment with putting this piece underneath and having it fold over, but it just sticks out and it's a bit clumsy. So we have this piece to add on here. We will glue the tab down like so, and then in order to cover that over, we'll add this, and I'll try and get it round the same way. This will also then add a little bit of extra strength to that front cover. Slide that up here. Add the glue. Okay, now you want to make sure you're getting it at the edges, as close to the edge as you can get. And we want to make sure that that still folds up. There we go. Obviously when you're doing this, if you're not doing a tutorial, you can get right over the top of it and make sure it's in the right place. And now we can add this, and it will just hide where that tab has been put in. And I will add this with this one. Okay. so you get plenty around the edges. I'm also just going to add a little bit to this, just to give it, make sure that it's stuck right down onto that bit. Okay, so you should be able to line this up with the pink bits here. I'll just stand up a little bit to see this bit. And then that will fold over like that. There's a little bit of white bit there which we can go and cover up later if we want to. But so that is our inside cover page. Okay. Put that somewhere where we're going to leave it. Okay, so these are the various booklets for that. These have cornered little rounded edges, which you can just cut with scissors, or if you do have one of these, you can get a little corner punch with various ones. I've made myself a little card and I just punched them all out and wrote down, so you've got 7mm, 4mm, 10mm. I just put it over the edge and then I can judge which one I think is going to work best. I've only recently got this page and I found it so useful. Quite often I would do rounded edges and they wouldn't be very round. Okay, this one doesn't really cut through two lots, so the middle bits you will have to cut out with scissors. Okay, just cut out the rest of these quickly. So again, score down the middle. I've already done it on this one and fold it over. If you don't want to, you don't have to put the inside pages. It's got a backing page on, so it looks quite nice. But you can do that if you want to. Okay, we're just going to trim these. I think that one actually looks okay. These are, this one is a 5 by 5 inch booklet, so you can choose which way you want to put the little border strips. You can have them both like that or both to the edge. I'm going to put one at the bottom and one at the side. I think that looks quite nice. Just try and centralise it. There we go. I'll put this one down the bottom. And there we have a cute little booklet. You put some photographs on the inside pages and one on the back page. And it says "Live Life in Full Bloom" on the front. Okay, we have another little pocket. This actually has square edges, so that's fine. This doesn't have a backing. It looks just nice like that. You can do some journaling, you can write. On the baby one, this has got all the information of the baby. This one is just a cute little one like this. Put your photographs in. And then we have 2 tags. And they also don't have backs, so that's quite handy. I thought these ones did, but I think most of the others do. So, I'm going to put these in quickly just to show you, but I'll take them out just so they're not in the way. So you put your little tags in the narrow pocket at the front. Obviously, punch a little hole in the top, put some ribbon round, put any little embellishments or beads. You can have fun with that. And these 2 go into that pocket there. I'm going to take them out for now, just so that when I'm putting the pages in later, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to keep them all together. I'm going to get them mixed up. I need to find somewhere to put them. I'm running out of space. Okay. So we'll go on to the first set of pages.